On the date June 10, 1912, on that date, something disturbing eventually happened on that date. Meanwhile, a family just eventually returned from a church, and they're ready to usually go home. Meanwhile, at their home, they were eventually told stories to themselves and eventually have a good time. You see, after they eventually left their church, after eventually doing some activities for a while, they decided to eventually go home. After the family members eventually went to their house, they will realize that this night will be a disturbing night and actually a violent one that will probably usually get famous. After the Moore family actually went to bed, they would eventually realize that a murder would eventually happen to them. However, an unknown man eventually broke into usually the house. He managed to lock all the windows and doors to prevent anyone from escaping the murder that they're about to experience. He then eventually walks into usually a bedroom full of family members sleeping. However, he then eventually usually gets a sharp axe. However, he gets inside the house, he pulls out that sharp axe, he busts in the door, he starts dismembering and chopping up the family members, kill them one by one. However, after he dismembered and killed a bunch of family members, he didn't eventually regret it, because there was so much blood. We don't know if any of the family members were awoken after eventually seeing their family getting chopped up and killed instantly by a violent man. After the family was killed instantly by a sharp axe, the man decided to do some kind of sexual stuff like necrophilia to the corpses. After he had sex with one of the corpses, he just left the body there to rot. After he eventually killed the family instantly, he decided to go up to an attic where he would probably get an axe and chop up two guests that were staying at the house. After he killed usually a family and two guests, he eventually left the house. He then usually left an axe on the ground for investigators to eventually see that a violent and gruesome murder was committed on that date. Meanwhile, an unknown neighbor was suspicious at the house, because usually the Moore family did not eventually show up, and they looked like they're about to usually stay home. Without any warning, the man eventually went inside the house and saw something disturbing. What he saw was chopped up bodies and usually cut off heads. He was traumatized at the murder that he managed to usually call 911 with his landline phone. He then eventually said that a gruesome murder was eventually at some kind of house. He said that he probably eventually heard screaming in the background at his home. Meanwhile, the police eventually decided to eventually go inside the house. What the police eventually saw was something really disturbing. It was usually chopped up bodies of a family. After they eventually saw cut off bodies and killed guests, the investigators, they were traumatized with what they saw. They saw a sharp axe with blood on it, and usually they eventually saw usually food. It's like if the man was trying to eventually taunt the investigators by traumatizing them instantly. After the police eventually saw this gruesome murder, this house was eventually nicknamed usually the Axe Murder House. After this incident eventually happened, usually everyone was disturbed, and eventually it became a famous murder. However, this man, the killer who eventually committed a violent act, he's probably deceased. Either he eventually died in prison, or he died from an unknown cause. But he probably burned in hell for what he eventually done. So yeah.